Tom Bombadil is chastising Gandalf here because he wants to save someone's life. And that is a complete perversion
Yes.
of everything Tolkien is trying to tell us.
So, last part of episode 6 of season 2 of the Rings of Power is going to be us talking about the dwarves and Rune. Let's get the dwarves out of the way because they have this tertiary role in this episode that doesn't really matter at all whatsoever. So the dwarves don't appear until, let me see here, minute 27 of this episode. There it is. All right. The first line, I watch it with the closed captions on just to show I don't miss anything. I love that the first line we see in this here, and it's written out. I don't have it right here. They say, "Come on, put your bread into it." That's what it says on the closed captioning. And I'm like, wait, what? Put your bread into it? Is that? And I have to go back. And it says, put your head into it, put your back into it. But it sounds like they say, put your bread into it. So it's a dwarf thing, you know. When you're working hard, you got to put your bread into it. So we're showing this shot of the dwarves mining. All the light is back. Look at how lush. I just find it funny how many trees and plants there are now growing in here. I didn't realize this last time, but it's an aviary. It is, or a topiary.
It's like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon that transported themselves underground.
That's right.
Yep. It's beautiful.
It's incredible, how far they go here.
You know, and I wasn't here for the season 5 episodes, but I'm going to add one line here and just say, I laughed so loud when Durin the Third in season 5, in episode 5 rather, after he breaks the wall, which was like, apparently they were like 10 feet from the surface, and these massive miners didn't know. I mean, it's one thing to say we don't know where to delve to start fraying a shaft. It's another thing to be like, and there's the surface. Which turns out we were, miles off of where we thought we were in the digging. But he says he makes this brag to them where he says he pities the other races because they're slaves to the sun. Literally, that's what you're doing. Like, this entire endeavor is because you're a slave to the sun. You pity the people who are at the whim of the sun's vagaries and movements and motions. All you do is take the sunbeams at those motions, and when it moves across the sky,
I know. Yeah,
you are more of a slave to the sun than they are. It is so dumb. So
they literally it is in contrast. It is in conflict with what they're showing us, what he's saying. And that gets through a writer's room, shows how incredibly dumb they are. And I want to say more colorful words than that, but it's just dumb. I don't have any other phrases for it that they can't recognize that.
There are a lot of people on this that are low IQ because this is bad.
Okay, so speaking of the low IQ-ness of this here, so we learned that Durin is summoned to see the king. Durin the younger is summoned to see Durin the older, and Durin the older says, "Oh, I didn't summon you. This guy did." But the whole point of this here is like, he summons him and doesn't ask him anything. He doesn't need he asks the king for the answer. But why is Durin there? Like, they really say he summoned you, but he doesn't need your answer because the king has to give the answer to what Durin actually, what Halbrand actually.
Exactly. He didn't actually summon you. Also, why does he have the power to summon anyone in your realm? You're the king.
Yeah.
Second of all, and then he has no questions for him. There's no summoning. Like, you're exactly right. This
is their way of bringing him there. It's the Star Trek way of saying, "Captain, I think you need to come here now." Like, they don't. Yeah. So
exactly. Well, it's the 13-year-old version of surprise. It's like, surprise! I didn't summon you. This guy did. Ooh, I'm surprised.
Yeah. And this guy somehow made it here in the same clothes he was wearing over in Region without anybody seeing it through all the orcs that are near the city and the one way out of the city.
His Banff t-shirt.
So the one thing that we see here, he needs something, and then Durin does say, "Oh, I'm not going to give it to him because I want something greater." And then he talks about creating the mithril armor, right? He's gonna be the arms dealer. He's like the terrorist arms dealer now. He's like, I will give mithril to whoever has the highest bidder, essentially.
Whoever has mithril arms and armor is basically the top of the dog in this war. Are you literally saying that you're considering selling to orcs, selling to the other side on this?
That's what it sounded like. Didn't it sound like that to you?
So it sounded like it. Whichever side has this will win.
Right?
So his point was that the price is going to go up, so we're going to be able to get more money out of them. Which, they've decided that that's the way this ring works, is just by such clunky sort of 2-year-old shifts in, oh, this ring makes you greedy, and so now you're going to call for all your dwarves to come dump random piles of gold around your throne, because that's what greed does. That's what you do when you're greedy. You just have people dump random piles of gold around you. It's so dumb. I use that.
What?
I kept saying this.
I know, me too. But what do you think? Like, he says, I'm going to want something better than gold. Like, he says that. They never hint us at what it is. And I have a feeling they're going to somehow get the Arkenstone out of this. They have to tie it back into that.
Oh, that's a good catch. I had the same question in my head. We're like, what is he talking about? And I never got an answer. Frankly, I kind of got bored halfway while I was considering, like, I don't care, because even if they told me what that thing was in the next scene, they would change what it was anyway, because they don't.
So Halbrand, he sees a Balrog in the fire after he's refused, and he's like, oh yeah, that's right, they're going to dig too deep, and he's going to have a little smile. But somehow he steals the mithril. We talked about that in another episode. How? I don't know. He just does. They never show us this at all. So Durin the Younger is angry, and he says, you take off the ring, and he says, no, because it's my ring. It is my precious ring. I think he does use that word here too. And then the ring, he says that Durin the Younger says to him, the ring has you. You don't have the ring, right? The ring, you're being essentially controlled by it. So he goes up to try and take it off of him. And the ring,
can I say?
Yeah, you may.
Yeah. Go ahead. Finish the thought.
And the ring becomes the last airbender, and it throws him off of his father. Literally, there it is. Literally throws him, 10 yards back. The rings can do anything. This was my point last week. The Palantir can be anything you want it to be. The ring is like the Force, like Rian Johnson created the Force in The Last Jedi. It can do anything you want it to do. So he rushes up, grabs the ring. The ring vibrates, pow. And so now the ring gives him super strength, which pushes him back. He's able to, I don't know, do whatever, but it's 10 yards, throws him off. Anyway, I hate the idea that they can they decide it's fantasy. We can make it do whatever we want it to do. So they're just going to make the ring into this powerful.
And we've talked about that before, where, I mean, this is part of the problem. And for those, just in case people who haven't heard it before, this is one of the major problems that Tolkien himself identified in his On Fairy Stories, which is that in order to actually make an excellent work of literature in a fantasy setting, you have to have your details so good, so well done, that you create a secondary world where people can live in their imaginations, of course, not in the real sense, and they can believe it, so that they're part of that world while they're reading it. And everything that Rings of Power staff and writers team does works against that. Everything is dumb. Everything is unbelievable. Characters the reasoning behind why they do things, the connection between what they do falls apart all the time. The reasoning behind why they do it shifts from moment to moment. They can't be consistent. And it's just, everything is geared almost deliberately towards making an inherently unbelievable fantasy world. And that's why people are pissed off.
Yeah.
And anyway.
So that was actually not my least favorite part of the scene, that they're doing this. I will say, so Durin and Disa talk about how completely corrupted Durin the Older has become.
Yep.
And okay, Durin is crying. The hardened dwarf who's the leader, he is crying that his father has changed, as opposed to being angry, as opposed to being like hard-nosed and being,
or even being sad,
like, we have to do something. He sits there. Yes. So I watched some of Star Trek Discovery. It is like Star Trek Weeping should have been the name, because the people on the show, whenever something wonderful happens or horrible happens, they get together and they have a good cry. In this episode, Durin cries. I think like Elendil almost cries.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Let me see.
Muriel cries when she's in the in the
oh, that's right.
scene.
Queen Muriel cries. Galadriel almost cries when she learns that she's told Adar like she's given up all the information already. It drives me bananas that the only way they can like create the only way they know how to create a sad or angry emotion is through tears. That is all they've got. That's all Star Trek Discovery had. And to see Durin, who's the hardened dwarf, we don't wear here, you know, his first reaction is to weep. And I hated it so much because these dwarves, they weren't bothering me the way that they portrayed them so far in this show. I mean, a lot of the other things, but I would say the characters of the dwarves weren't bothering me so much. But now they do. Now their name is Mud. I do not care anymore. They're not dwarves. They're not actually representing the dwarves that I think Tolkien would have actually enjoyed. Not that they were before a whole lot, but now they've gone completely off the deep end. They've jumped the megalodon.
I was going to say, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I actually liked Durin the Force character most of the time up to this point, but this, I mean, why? Yeah. Why are you having him just cry? This feels a lot to me like, this is our answer to toxic masculinity. The dwarves are just a little too masculine, so we're going to make them cry.
Yeah, right. So this last scene with the dwarves shows us Narvi and a team of dwarves here carrying a battering ram into mine with.
I never even really looked at it that closely.
What? Yeah, like look, it's okay, sure.
That's how you mine.
That's how you mine.
Smart. You batter.
Battering rams. Not chisels or axes.
We're gonna batter the mountain down. Or that's what they do.
Hammers, yeah, batter the mountain down. And they meet Disa. Disa somehow is just, she knows where they're gonna be, and she's there to greet them. And she's not. She's like, we're gonna have to move you. If you don't move, we're gonna have to move you, and we don't want to do that. She's like,
so
okay.
Painful.
So you have to hear it, guys. She's no longer just the rock singer. She's now.
Is that meant to frighten us off?
She's now, in a sense, kind of like Ozzy Osbourne. She loves to deal with bats and music. Dude, what in the world? Again, they bring stuff out of nowhere. Where did the bat thing come from?
Okay, so this now, look, our dear listeners, you may think that this is evidence that en masse the writers team is a little too much of a fan of the Mary Jane. Okay, you may think that this is something that is the evidence of hard drugs or soft drugs being used in the writers' room. But I tell you, you may be right. I'll tell you may be right. But if you're not right, if you're wrong, I saw the scene and I think I understand. I have no evidence for this. Just say this right out the bat. Except my long and painful encounter with season 1 and this season 2 of Rings of Power. This completely feels to me like what they did was they wrote themselves into a corner. They're like, okay, Disa has said they have to stop the dwarves from mining too greedily and too deep because this ring is the real problem. So she says she's over her dead body or her body or whatever, she's going to stop them. And then they're like, okay, here we are. Here's the episode where she's going to stop him. How does she stop him? And they all just stare blankly at each other for like 5 minutes. Go like, what? I cannot think. How is she going to stop him from? And then one guy's like, bats, maybe.
I watched Batman the other night.
Yeah, cool. The Batman. It was really cool. So how about we channel a little bit of Batman, a little bit of Christopher Nolan going on here. And the crazy part is it's so stupid because you think bats are going to scare away dwarves?
Yes.
The greatest miners in the world.
I know.
All they do, they might as well be called bat-bane because they eat bats for lunch. Bats are the least scary thing in the world to them.
Those are the only animals they would encounter in the mountain. Yeah,
they're not scared by bats. They laugh at bats. Bats are scared of them. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I also the bats thing, it also made me think about, well, bats in Tolkien's world aren't exactly like helpers generally either.
Right. Vampires. Yeah.
So thanks to let's see, what's his name? Hiking Feanor. That's on Twitter. Alpha Chad of Middle Earth. He grabbed a couple of quotes from one from The Hobbit, and I'll try and remember to put his link down below. But yeah, definitely follow him on Twitter. He's got some great Tolkien takes.
Cool.
But here's a quote from The Hobbit where bats taking part of battle. This is from chapter 17, The Clouds Burst of The Hobbit. The goblins are upon you. Bolg of the North is coming. O Dane, whose father you slew in Moria. Behold, the bats are above his army like a sea of locusts. So the bats are with the orcs. Okay. Now you could say, okay, well, the bats, that's because the orcs were living in Khazad-dûm at the time, so they would obviously take the bats with them. Well, all right. Okay. Well, let's talk about what Sauron did. He took the form essentially of a vampire bat, in order to, when he was released by Huan, right, to flee. That was in the Silmarillion of Beren and Luthien.
Yep.
So he took the form of
bats. Bats are always evil.
And then, the messenger of Sauron was Thurin Gwethel, who had a bat form, right? She was the messenger of Sauron and was wont to fly in vampire's form to Angband and a great finger wings. So anyway, bats are not a thing in Tolkien. So this, like you said, this is just dumbest ex machina, perhaps the dumbest of the entire show, because it is so far out of left field. It is the biggest non sequitur to anything. They haven't established that she can do anything except make rocks call. But now she's Beastmaster and can control the bats with her voice, or just scare them. Maybe that's it. But they did. She's not scared. They're doing exactly what she wants. I don't know. Pretty dumb.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. This is about the bottom of the barrel as far as writing ideas go. I don't know what to say after this.
Okay.
This is
well, if you don't know what to say now, let's move into what are we going to say about this now? So now we're back in Rune, where we leave the dwarves. We're going to go to Gandalf, who has a vision of Nori and Papadopoulos screaming, yelling. There's Poppy.
Yeah.
Nori, I don't know, yelling. Okay, then they're both right there. They're held. And then this is the Dark Wizard. We see him for a split second. There he is, right there. You can kind of make him out, right? So he's holding them. And then we see it's Gandalf's vision.
Is he fist bumping them? I didn't notice that before.
Fist bumping them. That's right.
It's like,
That's
yeah.
Right. He's like,
fist bump.
Would you like candy, children? Come with me, little halflings, with my candy.
That's right.
So now Gandalf has random visions too, because that's the only way they know to drive things forward. So we've got rings that give visions. Let's remember. We've got Palantiri that give visions, and we've got Tom Bombadils that give visions. That's the only thing that and here's the thing. This vision is essentially Luke Skywalker's vision on Dagobah. That's exactly what they have done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys remember Luke Skywalker. He's training under Yoda, and he has a vision of his friends in pain in a city in the clouds, and he says, I must go to them. Right. It's exactly what happened. So this whole period of time here where this is what that sets up. But this first leads into a discussion about the secret fire. So let's go to that first. Where he says he's been training him. Again, they tell us he's been training him. This is what I love. They tell Tom Bombadil says, I've been training you the whole time. Right? They don't ever show us how he's been training him or what he's been doing. They just say,
right.
Oh,
exactly right. All Tom Bombadil has actually been doing is providing snarky comebacks to everything that Gandalf says. Like there's just a snarky comeback or a stupid comeback like this one. But that's all he does is he's cut downs, like a clever 11th grader set series of cut downs and telling Gandalf that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But like you said, he's playing the Yoda part where it's like your friends are in pain, huh? And then he comes up with the worst line.
Let's take a step back before then. Yeah, we will get him the worst line here. But because I think what I want to say is like the secret fire here is what he says. He's like, because he says after he has his vision, he says to Gandalf, the secret fire whispers to us if we have ears to hear. I can't do that accent. If we have ears to hear, right?
Don't even try.
They have made the secret fire. The first thing I thought of when he said that, I'm like, oh, we have to tap into it, because then he says, well, I have to master the secret fire. That's what Gandalf says. And like, well, you can't master the secret fire. You just need to you cannot control it. You need to tap into it. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what Robert Jordan created with his one power in Wheel of Time stories. That it's something to tap into, and if you have the ability, anybody can tap into it.
You know what it is? He has Morgoth's attitude. Morgoth desired the secret fire to tap into it and use it like a tool. And that's it's the utilitarian view of the power of creation. Like I want that thing so that I can have it and to do with it what I wish. Except that now instead of Morgoth saying it, it's Tom Bombadil saying it to Gandalf, or not Gandalf. And this again, just like the Galadriel scene where it completes the destruction of her character because she's made into an idiot traitor to the Elvish cause by telling Adar all the things she didn't need to tell him that would then cause the uncountable death of elves. This completes the destruction of Tom Bombadil's character by Tom Bombadil here by putting him in a position where he's now he puts literally the fate of the entire world on Gandalf's not Gandalf's shoulders for no reason. Like he's the opposite of Tom Bombadil now, complete opposite. Not only is he caring about everything in the world when actually Tom Bombadil cared about virtually nothing. So they've reversed that. But now also, instead of providing respite and hope to the hobbits like he did in The Lord of the Rings, he's grinding Gandalf down. He's like everything Gandalf says. He's like, you're wrong about that, and you're wrong about that, and you're stupid. And oh, you want to do this good thing? Well, who are you to do this good thing? You have to make a choice. If you choose this good thing that you want to do, then the entire world's going to burn. And which is obviously, like you said, a ridiculously on the nose callback to The Empire Strikes Back. And Yoda conversation.
And this is the worst line that I think you mean. Yeah. How's he going to find his staff? That's what he's here for, by the way, to find his staff. Yes. So they ruin the line, and they ruin Gandalf by putting it in here.
Saw her. Nori.
Yeah, Nori and Poppy. He saw them in the vision. Remember? He saw them? Just like Luke Skywalker saw them?
I know that unless I find her soon, she will die.
I love that. Somehow I know. This is how they're going to drive the plot forward. They have to hit vision, push forward. Now, at least in Star Wars, like you have these visions, you have the tapping into the power. Like it's part of they've created that already. In here, they've done nothing like that.
Will die.
He's never had a vision before.
Many that die deserve life.
Yep.
There it is.
Some that live deserve death. Who are you to give it to them?
Once I know that she's safe.
Okay.
So oh my gosh. I was so angry. So angry
too. Now, why were you angry? And I'll tell you mine.
Because they took a line that was about mercy and they made it into a line about leaving your friends, about abandoning all relationships, about the point. So the point of the original line was right that Frodo he wishes that essentially the ring had never come to him, that Gandalf had killed, Bilbo had killed Gollum when he had the chance. Now it's become this line, like you don't know where things are going. Now it's become the line of, you know what? Don't help your friends. Don't show mercy to those. You have bigger fish to fry, and you should just concentrate on that, right? The good of the many outweighs the good of the few or the one. They've made Tom Bombadil into this unmerciful and careless, like the world is at stake. This is all I care about. It is the complete opposite of Tom Bombadil. Anyway, that was yeah.
I agree totally. What I noticed about it was, of course, that they changed the line, and the change was very interesting to me. They flipped the line, like you said. So they say, Tom Bombadil says, many that die deserve life, some that live deserve death. Who are you to give it to them? First of all, I would like to point out that who are you? That's a very modern take on things. Like, who are you? Like, you're nobody special. Actually, he is someone special, and he's been given a responsibility as a kind of archetypal hero, which, by the way, Tom Bombadil, you were just saying a minute ago. So who is he to give it to them? he's the freaking hero of the story. He's the one that can save Middle Earth. That's who he is. So he could actually answer Tom's question. But the biggest problem is, as you mentioned, the history, the flip from mercy. But the actual line is, many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to him?
That's a good point.
Can you? So in one case, Gandalf is saying to pointing out to Frodo, like, sure, there are injustices in the world. There are people that deserve death that don't have it, and there are people that deserve life that don't get it. Can you give those things to them? Can you give them life, for example? The ones that didn't deserve death and they deserved life, can you give it to them? And to which the obvious answer is no, you cannot give it to them. In this case, he's saying, who are you to give to? And what is it that he wants to give? He wants to save someone's life. He doesn't, like, Frodo is being chastised because he wants to kill someone. And
yes, exactly. Yes.
Tom Bombadil is chastising Gandalf here because he wants to save someone's life. And that is a complete perversion of everything Tolkien is trying to tell us about that line. And in a sick and twisted way, it completes the perversion of Tom Bombadil's character as one who's now criticizing Gandalf for wanting to save lives. And it's evil. Like he's evil.
Yeah, they've turned Galadriel into the villain in the story, and they've turned Tom Bombadil into, like, I don't know, the Emperor Palpatine of the story, the Darth Lord Darth Sidious of the story, the one who, is there just for himself because the other little people don't matter. I just need to save my world. That's what I'm here for.
It has a few reminiscences of Thanos too in the Marvel movies as well. It's like, where he wants to basically, like, people just got to die. Just let your friends die.
It's the way of things.
That's the way it's got to be. Half the people in the universe got to die, so might as well be your half.
Not to mention that they can't write anything on their own. They still have to lift everything else. And it also diminishes Gandalf's character, because now the line comes from Bombadil originally, not from himself. This is a diminishment of not only Bombadil, but a diminishment of Gandalf again.
Right. But I think combining our 2 points, just to put a bow on this, the bottom line is simple here. Gandalf's line in The Lord of the Rings, he's promoting the virtue of mercy.
Yes,
and he's criticizing the desire to take life. And here, Bombadil is promoting the fake virtue. It's not a real virtue, but he's promoting the supposed virtue of leaving people to die for the greater good, supposedly. And he's criticizing Gandalf for wanting to save the lives of his friends. And that's a complete perversion. It's very evil. And I'm tired of this shit. Sorry. You can bleep that out.
Wait, what time is it? 1:44. Oh my gosh, Michael. Yes, that's all good. And I'm tired of it too. It deserves no place in any Tolkien fans like library. This is what makes me angry, is when they
this just made me angry.
I was angry when they changed, not angry, I was disappointed when they changed Aragorn into a reluctant king, right? I was disappointed when they made Galadriel into a nuclear vision of, you would have a queen, because it seemed evil to me, and I didn't like that. But in the end, they didn't completely invert the character from what Tolkien had intended. They lessened them, in my view, but they didn't completely change them. Bombadil, remember, they said Bombadil was 5 to 10% different. This is not 5 to 10%. This is 99.9% different. The only thing that's left of him is a light similarity to what Tolkien wrote about his clothes, and even then it's poor. And he doesn't even say, he hasn't done any singing. He's been somber and he's been quippy, but where is his jolly singing, right? Does that now? You know what he's going to do? You know what's going to happen? He's going to meet the singing Harfoots who come with their songs that tell them where to go in Rune, and he's going to start singing too, because he realizes singing is the way to find a path in front of you.
Do you think he's going to lead them? He's going to lead them on to the Shire.
Oh, I think he's going to lead them to the Shire 100%. I mean, we didn't get here's remember that they had to include the dirty little sociopaths in the sewers into this Story. Thank you for those
Hey,
words,
have
Michael.
you
That
noticed
described you.
too? This is like a dark comment. Have you noticed too that Nori's been getting more and more makeup? She's
No,
looking better and better.
really?
Um,
She's a little more, little less dirty dirt.
yeah, not Poppy, but Nori. Oh, that scene is so gross. I almost
So
threw up a
let's
little bit in my mouth.
so Nori is speaking with the Gund. And she won't leave because she was born in this smile. I believe Smeal is what it was written. Smeal.
Smeal, yeah.
Yes, and so she's been tending the dead
Which
tree.
is, which, which is a legitimate name for a Hobbit village.
It
That's
is
Tolkien's word,
right,
Smeal.
right. But she's been tending this tree since she could balance a rake, so she doesn't want to leave. I love it because they showed us the tree earlier. It was pretty much dead, which was kind of funny.
Right.
She buried
Isn't
her
that funny?
dad under the tree, and I'm like, oh, in the rocky soil? Like, how many people are buried under this tree? They're like, if I were a Hobbit, I'd be like, you're gonna do what in the middle of the town square? You're gonna bury your dad right there? What?
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with that. Can
It
we
is kind
not
of
have the
awkward.
dead
Like
people?
every second or third dust storm, like the bones blow up. Like like got to rebury
They're
dad
revealed.
now because
Yeah.
the
Yeah. If you've ever read Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card, perhaps it's something
oh
like
yes.
that. You bury them and open them up, and then the tree grows. Sorry, guys, spoiler. If you haven't, never mind. I'm sorry. I just spoiled the whole book.
It's only kind of a spoiler. They
Yeah.
won't understand.
All right, so then we get to the most I threw up in my mouth a little scene, in perhaps the entire episode, which is another dirty love story.
He definitely has more makeup on than before. Anyway, go for it.
The new dirty love story between the dirty little sociopaths in the sewers. We had Estrid and Isildur, right, falling in random love based on distrust and dirty feet, face, everything
And
falling
lies.
around them, and lies, distrust and lies and dirt. And now we get Poppy and Nobody, because he didn't get a name until a year ago. Apparently, he didn't. They just called him Nobody. I guess that's their tradition. I didn't even catch that. I thought
We're
it was so
supposed to
stupid.
laugh at that, kind of like we're supposed to laugh at random
Are we?
Hobbit Harfoots dying on the road when they make those
No.
songs about him. And we're supposed to think it's funny.
See? Oh, that's it. Like I said, Tom Bombadil is gonna take those songs, make them better, and they're gonna find their way.
Oh,
So they're now in love. Why? Cause they're here. What do we care?
Yeah.
No. So we got these 5 minutes or
Uh-uh.
3 minutes of the hobbits, because this is the side quest of bring the hobbits to the Shire.
That's a good way to put it. It's a
This is
side
what's going to
quest.
happen. I'm positive. It's the side quest to bring the hobbits to the Shire. I hate seeing them. They didn't need us here at all. It served zero purpose to the overlying story here, other than she needs to go find Gandalf, but we don't care. So why have it? No. Anything else to say about that? That's all I got. I do
not. I hate everything about these people.
They love putting
funny.
crap in their hair. That's the funniest thing. They love putting crap. I mean, maybe it's literal crap, but it's weeds and stuff. They just add whether you're a Harfoot or dirty little sociopath or a sewer, you put it in your hair.
Yeah.
I went too far.
So did you catch the one? I can't remember. Was it the fifth episode or this one where they were talking about the rings and how it was maybe it was last episode, but it was Sauron talking to Celebrimbor about making the 9 rings and giving them to the lords of the greatest countries of men. You think they're actually going to turn Pharazôn into a ring wraith?
Oh my!
Because they said
Hope
really
not.
explicitly, like, we're going to give the rings to the greatest. So the Dark Wizard, which hilarious. This is totally hilarious. This is such a sign of laziness, as we mentioned before. How his name is just Dark Wizard. The guy that trained him. Why would Tom Bombadil refer to him as Dark Wizard? He wasn't called Dark Wizard when he came to Tom Bombadil to supposedly be trained. So he would have just called him by his name, whatever it is. But no, it's
great.
Dark Wizard.
Yeah, dark.
But yeah. So at this point, we have 2 ring wraiths. We have, for sure, in my mind, we have
Dark Wizard.
and I think Pharazôn. and then I think
Really?
there's going to be others. Yeah, I do think.
Man,
I think
I
they're.
would.
I think they're going to switch the story.
Wow.
That's my
Well,
take.
I mean, I don't put anything past them. That would certainly
Why did you pause
change.
on this craptastic picture? Please stop.
I was waiting for you to say something about it. I had to.
Oh my
If
god!
I threw up into my mouth a little bit, all of you watching have to see Nobody and Poppy kissing. This is
Because we're all 13-year-olds here, so we got to ship somebody every single freaking
well,
episode.
they both almost died by being cast out by the sewers into the deserts to be eaten by the desert beasts, and so that brings a certain level of trust and appreciation of each other, and they're going to make the most of the days ahead of them and spend all the time that they have together.
That's right. That's right.
That's it. Sorry,
If
guys.
only
All right.
they knew there was a land they could go to where being spit out by a monster meant that they became king automatically. Then that
That's
would be better.
it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect. Oh man! So many people said this was one of the best episodes yet of the series.
Why? Who are these people and what drugs are they on?
These these are a lot of critics who have never seen a well put together television show. These are a lot of Tolkien fans who are living in some sort of denial, like I was after seeing The Phantom Menace back in 1999. But their denial is lasting like 8 weeks. Mine lasted about a day. After a day, I was like, no, that kind of sucked. I was able to get by it.
The beautiful world of denial.
But at least the Phantom Menace. At least the Phantom Menace. We had a couple great scenes in there. We have had no great scenes in this in how many 14 episodes of the show at this point. I mean, remember in this episode we got Galadriel essentially telling Adar where everything is, and so Adar is going to have no trouble
giving away all the secrets,
all the secrets of Elrond and Gil-galad and where the armies are.
By the way,
no, yeah, she just give it willingly. She told him about the ring, right? We've got in Numenor, we've got the Valar are now the great judges of the Numenorians by calling the Gorgon, the sea worm, over to them and putting Andromeda, Muriel, up on the rock in order to be eaten.
So true.
We've got Tom Bombadil, who is a complete inversion of his character, who now cares so deeply about the realm of Middle-earth that he's willing to sacrifice those. Whereas before, let's remember, he just came out and decided to save Frodo and Sam and Pippin. Merry? Is it all four of them at that point? No, I'm forgetting. Michael, you do remember? Were they all four in there?
It's not.
Yes, all four.
It's all four. It's all four. Yeah,
it's all four of them. Yeah, I was like, the movie still messes with my. It's after Crick Hollow, so yes. So all four of them: Merry, Pippin, Sam, Frodo. Saves them, right? He actually saves the friends. He doesn't not care about them. And then we get we get the dwarves, who can call down bats now too. And wouldn't the dwarves just turn around? They just turn around after the dwarves came. After the bats came, it's like, oh, the bats are gone. All right, turn around, guys. Let's go back.
How about they just duck their heads and let the bats go for them?
Because they've never seen bats before. Oh man! And then we get the elves of Ostenethel, who don't ever look out from the walls of the city. They don't see any smoke rising in the distance like Halbrand does. They don't have any scouts that will go out once one of their own is killed. They simply sit there and wait. That's their strategy in winning the war ahead. Sit there and wait. Don't do anything.
Yeah, well,
they've Morgoth is gone. Why worry ever at all?
It's just trying to apply logic to this stuff and these story beats. I've kind of given up. So it is. I'm glad I have someone to talk with about, because it is more fun to laugh about it. But this particular episode, I don't know why people would think it was great, because as you mentioned, on the one hand, it has these moments that are so ridiculous and unbelievable. Characters do things that are so stupid, or don't do things that are so obvious, as to beggar belief. And so in a way that's kind of funny too, because of how dumb it is. But then on the other hand, you have the other thing they do, which is the perversion of characters, the actual corruption of characters, turning good into evil. And like with Bombadil, and that part not so funny. And it's one of the many reasons why. as a Tolkien fan, there's no way on God's green earth I can support this show. So for that
Never.
reason, I will make another 6 videos about it because that's what I do.
We've got 2 more to go. Hey, the last one we're going to be together. Do you realize that? We'll be together to record it. So we're going to work that out, guys, on the very last episode of, or the very last episode of the Rings of Power. We're going to be together. I will be Michael's on the West Coast, and I'll be on the West Coast again for
we'll just be the continuous Michael Jackson popcorn meme where we're sitting there, or Jon Stewart popcorn meme, or we're eating popcorn and just looking at the wreckage of this show.
Awesome. It's going to be amazing. This is like I don't know how the one thing that watching a bad show really does is it makes you appreciate the good things, the good shows, the well put together ones, and it focuses it down. And you're like, well, why is this good? Now we kind of know why the writing for House of the Dragon is so much better than the writing for the Rings of Power, because things actually matter, and you have through lines of like if somebody's going to do something in the future, it can't just be randomly happen. It has to be pushed forward. It has to be pushed forward without a seeing stone. Seeing how many visions and prophecies, right? Like Kemen in the last episode, your mother said you would have come to an ill end. Well, tell me, Father. No, first you're going to have to do something for me, which is go tell the people that were building an aqueduct through their shrine. It's what I guess, but then he messed up.
Like as is typical, he even said he would, do X if Kevin pulls off Y.
Yeah.
And then Kevin pulls off Y, and we've never even seen X. So probably never will.
All right, guys.
Anyway,
well, that's it. We're done with this one. We'll see you next time on episode 7 of the Rings of Power, and we'll get back to the Hobbit. We promise.
Bye, freeloaders, or whatever other politically correct name you want to be called, because you're too emotionally imbalanced to handle a name like freeloaders. Bye-bye.